Annabelle, what are you doing? Come on, I told you not to scare the people like that. Come here. What are you doing? Jeez, you're gonna give everybody a heart attack. Oh, hey guys. How you doing? Long time no see. Well, really, it's been a week, but that's okay. I am James, also known as James Knit Socks, here on YouTube and on social media like Instagram, where I'm definitely active a lot as of late. It's good to see you. It's been about a week since my last episode, which is record time between episodes, I think, considering I had taken a year off before. Funny thing, I actually got confused last week, and I numbered it episode 11 when it was really episode 12, because the one I did last year before I went on hiatus was episode 11, so they're all out of whack, but that's okay. I'm just gonna, we're on, this is episode 13. We're back on track. Episode 13. How y'all doing? I hope you had a fantastic week and you got lots of knitting done. Man, it's been, it's still hot here. I still got the fan going, so if there's a bit of background noise, forgive me. I think it's around 85 degrees today. Hopefully, I think next week we're supposed to get into a little bit cooler temperatures as we get closer to September, so fingers crossed on that one. Yeah, let's see what else is going on in the last week. Oh, we bought a new car. That's something. We had a 12-year-old Nissan Versa that we bought from Carvana a few years ago, and it completely conked out. Honestly, it was kind of giving us problems right from the get-go, but we just kind of did what we could to keep it running until we could afford something better, you know, so I don't recommend Carvana, but, you know, your mileage may vary, no pun intended. But anyways, we got rid of that, we traded it in, and we got a 2023 Nissan Rogue, which we absolutely love. It's fantastic. It's probably the most state-of-the-art car we've ever had. You know, it's got the whole touch screen with the Sirius XM, and it's got the backup camera and all that. That's all new to us, and we're like living in the future. So it's pretty good. It's funny because we bought it, and then we were driving around later that night, and we kind of looked up and we're like, oh my god, it has a moonroof that opens up. So that was kind of neat. So that's fun. It's always fun to get a big new gadget, a big expensive new gadget like that, but you know, it is what it is. It's fun. We needed it. We didn't plan on buying a new car last weekend. I mean, I knew we had to get one, but it was probably going to be within the next month maybe. But we went to Spirit Halloween that day, and I got Annabelle. And my wife was like, why don't we just go look at cars? So we're like, all right, we'll go look at cars. So we went and looked at the Subarus first, because the car dealerships are kind of like all in one area. So we went and looked at the Subarus, didn't really find anything we liked, went back to the Nissan dealership, you know, test drove the Rogue. We're quite happy with it. So we got a new car in the last week, so that's exciting. All right, I think that's enough of life stuff. Everything's pretty good, I guess. Work is fine, everything's fine. So let's get into some knitting. Yeah. All right, this is a knitting channel after all, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's see, where are we going to start? Should I start with socks or should I start with my sweater? I think I'll start with my sweater. Let's start with the sweater. So as many of you know, last time I mentioned that I'm finally going to knit the Riddari, the Lopi sweater, the Riddari that I've wanted to knit forever and ever and ever. I had ordered all the yarn and everything like that, and I was kind of trepidatious about the yarn and a little bit anxious, and it finally came, and I am pleased to report that it is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous to work with. Let me grab the sweater here, and I will show you how far along I've come. It's funny because I started it Saturday. Friday? I started it Friday, had to rip everything out on Saturday. I started it Friday when the yarn came, had to rip everything out by Friday evening, or by Saturday evening, sorry, because I realized that I was knitting the wrong size. It happens, but it's silly me. I didn't properly take my measurements because the sweater I knit last year was a 3X. So I thought, I'm just going to gonna knit the 3X, you know, because that I'm pretty big. I'm a pretty chunky dude around the gut, so I'm gonna knit the 3X like I did last year, and that fit me fine. But I had lost about 15 to 20 pounds since last year when I knit that, and I'm like, oh no. So I had knit the bottom band and the ribbing, and I was just about to start the color work, and I kind of held it up, and I'm like, this looks kind of big. So I actually tried it on. I'm like, yeah, this thing has like 6 inches of positive ease. I like my sweaters oversized, but not that oversized. So I went back, I ripped it all out what I did, which was fine, and I knit, and I started knitting the 2X, which was the correct size, which I should have been knitting all along. But anyways, I did that. It only took me about a day to get back to where I was before I ripped out, so not a big deal. But this is where I'm at so far on the Riddari Sweater. Now, see, it's funny because the bottom curls up. So let's see if we can see all this here. That is... It's kind of hard. Not till I get to blocking it will it all flatten out. Because you knit 4 rounds to start before you're doing the ribbing, so it has that curl along the bottom, and that'll be on the sleeves and the neckline too. But it kind of curls up, so it's hard to see. But that is that. That is the Riddari. So far, I've knit about, I measured it last night, it was at 7 inches, and I have knit probably another 1.5 inches since then, maybe. So we'll say I'm at 8 inches. And the pattern says to knit 17 inches on the body, but I like mine a little longer, so I'm probably going to knit about 18.5 inches. I'll try it on. I'll see where it's at when it gets to 17 inches, but realistically, I'm probably going to do 18.5 inches, maybe even 19. We'll see. But yeah, that is that. Now this is knit in the Letalope yarn, if you'll remember last week. It's just hard to, there's the color work bottom. There's the color work band at the bottom. That's going to be along the sleeves too. Man, let me see if I can show that a bit more. Should have planned this better. Sorry guys. Get this little strand out of the way. All right, so that is the color work at the bottom. Oh man, it's so hard to see. There we go. You kind of get the idea. It's got these like little crosses, not really crosses, but you know, red cross. It's like the Red Cross symbol, not the Christian cross symbol. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But anyways, you see what I mean. It's got that little bit of color work there along the bottom, and then it goes into the body, which is the Letalope yarn. This is the colorway called Murky. And you can see it is definitely kind of murky. It's got kind of like a little tonal effect going on in there, which I absolutely love. It's been absolutely a joy to work with. And you can see, let me see if I can highlight this here. You can see the fuzz on the sweater, on the yarn. See that fuzz? Look at that fuzz. I absolutely love it. Like I heard mixed things about this yarn before I got it. It's like when I was doing my research on YouTube to figure out like the best way to kind of work with it, a lot of people were saying it's so scratchy and they'll never work with it again. And honestly, I'm not finding that. I am finding it absolutely a joy to work with. It's so soft. I love it so much. And a lot of people, some people were saying that it pulls apart really easily. So you have to be delicate with it. Like when your ball is next to you and you pull the yarn, you have to be delicate with it or else it could split and you'll find yourself weaving in way more ends than you have to. I'm not finding that. And I think there might be a little confusion going on maybe because this is Letalope yarn, which is it's 2 strands, but they're spun together. So it's a spun yarn, unlike Plutalope, which is unspun and does that thing where it rips apart really easily. So the first thing I did when I got this yarn was I took out a piece and I'm like tugging on it. I'm like, does it pull apart? Does it pull apart? No, it doesn't pull apart. Like I'm sure if I like gave it my all, I could pull it apart, but just like pulling it from the ball or working on it, I can keep my regular tension while knitting. I don't have to worry about it breaking at all. So it's been really, really great to work with. And honestly, the fabric, I find the fabric to be so nice, and it just warms my heart. It's so soft. It's not scratchy against my skin at all. So, I mean, I can't wait to wear this in the fall and winter time when I'm finally finished it. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm about 8.5 inches on the body right now. So we'll say another 10 inches conservatively, might be a little bit more than that, but about 10 more inches to go on the body before I knit the sleeves separately and then join everything together for the colorwork yoke. So 10 more inches to go. I mean, honestly, between starting over and everything like that and work this week, I mean, I got, 8 inches done in a week. So that's pretty good for me, I mean, it took a minute switching from teeny tiny sock needles to work on the slightly larger needles. The ribbing and everything was worked on a 3.5 millimeter before going up to a 4.5 for the body. So it did take a little bit getting used to those needles, especially the longer, like I think these are 5-inch needles. So the 5-inch needles, these are my Addy Click Turbo needles, which I absolutely love. But anyways, going up to those, 5 millimeter needles and getting used to everything again, it took a minute, but, eventually I slipped back into the groove. It was fine. I found this little tip, and many of you who have knit tons of garments before probably already know this, but the needle that holds my yarn, I kept at a 3.5, and the needle that catches the yarn and actually makes the size of the loops is the correct 4.5 millimeter needle. So I find that keeping the feeder needle at a smaller size helps the stitches helps everything go much faster, you know what I mean, if that makes sense. Oh, look, I dropped a stitch right there. The good thing about dropping stitches on this is that, honestly, because the yarn is what it is so easy to just pick right up. Sometimes they don't even fall down. So that is that. But anyways, I will fix that after I'm done recording. So I'll just leave that there so I know what to do. But yeah, I've dropped stitches a few times just from setting my yarn down and then moving. I would forget to pull my needle up really high or put a stopper on it, so some of the stitches would fall off, and they never dropped down. They just stayed where they were, and I just picked them back up because the yarn has so much tooth to it. Yet at the same time, it's so soft. So go figure. But anyways, that's the Riddari sweater so far. I'm going to have lots of ends to weave in, but that's okay. I don't mind weaving in ends. Well, that's a little better. Maybe you can see it a little better that way. Yeah, there we go. So that's it. That's the Riddari, guys. So far, so good. No complaints. Really, really loving that. So yeah. So I'm actually gonna put a stitch marker once I pick this back up again later today. I'm gonna put a stitch marker, and then so next week when I record, you'll be able to see my progress. We'll be able to measure it and figure out how much I got done in a week. If maybe I will be able to get the whole thing done, the whole body done by next week. You never know. I mean, the weekend's coming up. I don't work weekends. It's Friday as I'm recording this. I'm done work for the week. So I got Saturday and Sunday. It's just going to be all straight knitting time. I got nothing planned, nothing on the docket. We might have to go to the store to get a bit of groceries. But other than that, my weekend's going to be dedicated to knitting the Riddari, which I am excited about. All right, let's get to some sock talk, shall we? Let's see. I don't have any finished socks. But let's see, let me talk. I do have at least something on the needle though. That is right here in my project bag that I won. As many of you know, Crazy Sock Lady, she hosts Summer Sock Camp every year. And it kicked off, I believe, at the end of June? Maybe the beginning of June? I don't know. I think maybe the beginning of June. Anyways, this year's festivities kicked off, and this is the first year I've ever actively participated in it. Hosted by the Crazy Sock Lady. There's a Ravelry group where you can talk and stuff like that. I'm not really involved in the chitter chatter. But you can like share your work on Instagram with the hashtag Summer Sock Camp. And there's also a thread on her Ravelry group for finished objects that you can put your finished objects in there. I've been doing that. But anyway, she draws prizes for throughout the summer for for people that use the hashtag on Instagram or post their finished objects on Ravelry. And to my surprise, I was one of the first crop of 10 winners when she drew that round of prizes. So I was so excited because I never usually win anything. So I posted on Instagram that, oh my, it's like a major award. It feels like a major award, from Christmas Story. But it was funny. So I emailed her and said, thank you so much. And, whatever you pick, I'm looking forward to getting. And she told me that I had won a project bag from Barley Pearls on Etsy. And I'll put their link in the show notes below, their Etsy shop. But I had heard of them in passing, but never really visited them or knew anything about them. And she said, it's winner's choice, so you can pick a small or medium project bag. So I went over there and I was like, oh my God, these are gorgeous. These are beautiful. So I picked this sock coffee project bag with a handle with one of these handles. And the zipper top, they have drawstring tops, they have different handles. But anyways, I customized it to my preference, and I got it like a week later after I won it, and it was so exciting. I love coffee, so this is great. But anyways, inside here, I did start. If you'll recall, last week I said I was recording on Thursday. My yarn wasn't expected to arrive until Saturday. So I was like, I gotta cast something on, So I cast on my wife's Halloween socks, which I showed the yarn from Polymorph Dye Works. It was called the Sheepyshire. It was the yarn from the Sheepyshire. The colorway was called Wildflower. I think that's the ball band there. This is the ball band from the Sheepyshire. Their staple sock base. And yeah, the color was called Wildflower. But it reminded my wife when we were at the Central Pennsylvania Fiber Festival buying yarn and stuff. It reminded her of Halloween when it was all, up in a hank. And it's not disappointing as I'm knitting it up. Honestly, I'm not that very far into it, obviously. But those are the colors. That's how it is when it's knitting up. And I'm really liking that. I'm going to do a different heel color. I just haven't decided what yet. But that is how it looks all caked up, and it is really nice. She likes her socks knit on 3mm needles as opposed to me, who knits on 2.5mm needles. So the stitches might seem a bit bigger, but that's okay. That's what she likes, so that's what she gets. Let's do that. So there we go. I did 20 rounds of 2x2 ribbing for the cuff before going into the leg. So honestly, I haven't gotten very far because I've pretty much just been working on my sweater all week. I think I worked on this once this past week, maybe did 10 rounds. So, this is something I'm going to kick into high gear again once I'm done the Riddari Sweater. Hopefully, sometime in September. I'm hoping to be done. I should be done realistically. So these are going to be my wife's Halloween socks. Again, Sheepyshire in the Wildflower colorway. So that is all I got on my needles for socks. Zip that back up. What else can we do here? All right, I do have another another failed sock project that I wanted to talk to you about. First, I'm going to take a drink because I've been talking nonstop. From my lovely Stanley mug with my sticker, Mental Health Juice, that I got from a friend of mine that I used to work with at Michael's Craft Store. When I worked at Michael's Craft Store, she still works there, and she has an Etsy shop on the side called, I believe it's called Color Me Kelly. Her name is Kelly, so it's called Color Me Kelly. She has all kinds of different stickers and just all kinds of different things. She's very creative. She designs everything herself. I'll put her link. I'll put her Etsy shop in the comments below. But I bought this off of her because I really, I I like mental health, and this is my mental health juice. But anyways, I'm drinking Arnold Palmer, half lemonade, half iced tea, which is perfect during the summer. So I'm drinking that. All right, but one more failed sock project to talk to. I'm gonna put a picture up of what this yarn looked like when it was hanked up. And many of you may experience this too. I mean, yarn, variegated yarn, hand-dyed yarn, when it's all in a nice hank, it looks gorgeous, right? It looks like candy. It looks like Christmas to us. It attracts us. We love it. We buy it. And then when we start knitting with it, we're like, this isn't quite what I had in mind. And that's what happened with this yarn from Hedgehog Fibers. I forget the name of the colorway. Damn, I'm so bad at remembering colorways. I got to remember to put that in my show notes or something, to put that in my own notes so I can remember. But anyways, it's from Hedgehog Fibers. No shade on Hedgehog Fibers. Their yarn is super soft, but this is the first time I'd ever worked with any of their yarn. So I was like, oh man, because I had won another prize. I had won a $20 gift certificate from Simply Socks Yarn Company, which is where I buy most of my sock yarn. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna, free money. I'm gonna buy some yarn that I usually don't work with. So I bought some Hedgehog Fibers yarn, and it looked beautiful, caked up as you see from the picture. Take a look at the picture. Isn't that? I mean, that looks good. I think it's the one on the left, which I really, it's great. It reminded me of fall, but when I was knitting it up as a sock, it has this weird pooling thing going on, which some people might like, but it's just not what I had in mind. You see that? You see that pooling? And I don't know, there's just something about it that I just don't like. And so I stopped knitting it. I pulled out my needles and I was gonna cake it all back up, but I'm like, oh, I'll just wait to show you guys what it looks like with all that pooling. And it's just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'll probably retry again with a pattern sock and see how that does. Maybe the Crunkled Socks by Kay Jones that I like so much. Maybe Crazy Sock Lady's Vanilla Bean socks. I'm not sure. Or maybe I'll make a hat. Maybe I'll make a sock head beanie. That's an idea. But anyways, you can, my whole point is that we loved hand-dyed yarn, and it looks so good when it's, in the hank. And then even when you cake it up, that looks pretty good, right? It's very fall-y, very Halloween. But then you get this. You get that plant, you get that pooling. And that's why I wish sometimes that people who, I realize you can't do it all the time. And it's like a catch-22. You hand-dye these hanks, and you put pictures of them on your website or on Instagram, but we never get to see what it looks like. Like we never get a swatch, to see what it looks like. In the very rare cases, we'll get swatches, but a lot of the times we don't. So it's like a gamble, We're like, that looks pretty. It's eye-catching. It looks like candy, but then when you knit it, it's kind of a letdown, So I wish people would do more swatches. And I get that it's time consuming, and there's some dyers that have such large inventory that they just can't possibly swatch anything. But there's gotta be some way. You know what I mean? I think it was Earth Tones Girl that actually offered to swatch up, to knit at least one sock for a dyer so they can display what it looked like. But we need more of that. We need more of that. We need more swatches of hand-dyed yarn in the knitting community so we can see what it looks like. But yeah, Hedgehog Fibers. Again, no shade on Hedgehog Fibers, man. Their yarn is it's buttery smooth. I absolutely love working with it. Just this particular colorway wasn't for me. So we'll see what I can do with this later on. But that's okay. All right. Anything else? I mean, knitting wise, that's really that's really it, guys. It's we're coming into a season where if I'm gonna be knitting this sweater for the next month, the sock knitting stuff is gonna be pretty thin. So maybe I'll like I did last week after being away for so long, I showed some socks that I had knit that were my favorites. So maybe I'll go through and see what I've knit in my time away from YouTube, and I'll show more socks that I've knit and just talk about why I like them or memories that I have while knitting them or things like that. Just talk about the yarn and just show you guys stuff like that, just to break up the sweater conversation, because I mean, this is James Knits Socks, right? James likes to knit other stuff too, sometimes, at least once a year. It's my annual tradition. It's becoming my annual tradition to knit a garment for myself once a year. A sweater once a year is what I'm aiming for. So it's about that time, and it's not too, honestly, working with that Let Lopi in the August heat isn't that bad. I mean, we have the air conditioning going. I have a fan, so it's really not that bad. If I was knitting outside or took it with me on the go, might be a little different, but so far so good inside the house, inside the air conditioning. So before I love you and leave you, we will just talk about one more thing I wanted to do. I mentioned this last week, or I did this last week, where I wanted to start highlighting things I saw on Instagram that really caught my eye. And so I want to get into that. I want to do Instagram highlights this week. I want to talk about, I'll put up the picture here first. Look at these. These are from Emily Fiber Arts. Emily is become another friend on Instagram, and she did these wonderful fisherman rib socks. I love those. God bless Emily for doing those, I look at that and I'm like, man, I could never do that because I don't love ribbing that much to do it down an entire sock, For me, it's one of those things like magic loop. It's a necessary evil where I have to do it sometimes for my heels and toes. But man, I could not do ribbing for an entire sock, I don't think. No, I don't think I could. 20 rounds for a cuff is enough for me. So God bless Emily. She did a great job on those fisherman rib socks. Go follow her on Instagram. She's a wonderful person. She used a Summer Lee pattern for that. So go check her out. Again, I'll put the links to these Instagram accounts in the show notes below. So we got Emily. Next up, put up a picture here. This is Tina Knit Socks. This is her lattice rose socks. Look at those. Aren't those pretty fancy? I like those. Tina did a really great job on those. She recently gave me a follow on Instagram, so I follow her back. We haven't really had any interactions other than liking each other's stories and posts and things like that. But Tina, just a shout out, man. You did a great job on these socks. I love those lattice rose socks. Beautiful color work on those. I think the caption says that she got the idea from looking at wallpaper, the colors or something like that. So it's pretty neat. Again, go check out Tina Knit Socks on Instagram. She's a great person. Love her stuff. She's really, really good. So Tina, you did a great job on your lattice rose socks. Really like those. And last but not least, I'm going to try to highlight things from, small accounts that may not get, a lot of attention like the bigger designers do and things like that, or the bigger knitters. So I'm going to try and do that, but I got to give my last one here today. I got to give a shout out to Charlotte Stone. I'll put the picture up there. She just released her dragonfly sock pattern. And look at those. Those are so cool. Man, she is just one of the most creative minds designing socks these days, designing colorwork socks. I love her stuff. I've never knit a pair of her colorwork socks. I don't do a lot of colorwork socks. I want that to change. I really do. So maybe after I'm done my sweater and finish knitting a couple of more pairs of Christmas socks, I want to get into colorwork socks more. I want to get so good at colorwork socks I can design my own colorwork socks. Just for me, maybe even for other people. I don't know. But that is something that's been in the back of my mind probably for the last 2 years, is designing colorwork socks and knitting colorwork socks, but I have a bit of a twist in my head of how I can do that. That's a little bit different from what you see that's out there right now. So stay tuned for that. I don't anticipate that happening this year. So maybe next year, but that is just something that's been in the back of my mind. So we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, Charlotte Stone knits. We love Stone knits. Love her stuff. If I was to knit a pattern of hers, I would immediately start with herding cats. I love that pattern so much, and I love cats so much. So that's the one I'm going to start with when I decide to finally knit a Stone Knits pattern. So that is it for Instagram highlights, guys. I got some things that maybe I can do within the next few recording sessions that I can also add to the podcast that'll break things up a little bit from the sweater conversation. So we'll see about that. But hopefully there's a lot of good things to come in the coming weeks. I've kind of got it in my head that I'm going to do one of these every week. Last week I put out one on Thursday. Spur of the moment return, no real big plans behind it. But going forward, looking at my weekly schedule, now that things have calmed down in my life from where they were, we had a lot of stuff going on, not just with like our bum ass car, but we were both in the hospital for a little bit. We had some deaths in the family. There was just a lot going on, man. But now that all of that seems to have calmed down, I've been pretty regular at work. So what I want to do is finish my work days on Fridays, which I usually finish around noon. Take the kid to work. They work at 2 o'clock. Record an episode every Friday to put out either Friday night or Saturday morning. That's what I would like to do going forward. Again, I'm not putting any pressure on myself, but I feel that now that's something that I can relatively stick to fairly closely. Might be a few days, might be like a Sunday or a Monday or, a couple days grace in that schedule, but I think I can do that. So we'll aim with that. So look for another episode next Friday or Saturday. But in the meantime, guys, I really hope that you're doing well. Again, I'm so happy to be back on YouTube talking to everybody about yarn and socks and sweaters. And I hope Annabelle didn't scare you much at the beginning. I love horror and anything horror movies and stuff like that. So when I saw Annabelle at Spirit Halloween, I had to get her. I'm not going to lie. I got her last Saturday. And today's the first day I took her out of the box. She's just been staring at me from the box the entire week. Kind of creeping me out. But now that I got her out of the box and I'm holding her, it's not so bad. It's a lot more scarier than the real Annabelle, which was a Raggedy Ann doll, which I went and saw last year. I think I remember telling you guys that. That's before I disappeared, so maybe some of you thought Annabelle got me. I don't know. But I went and saw the real, me and my wife drove down to Gettysburg and stayed there overnight and saw the real Annabelle doll, the Raggedy Ann doll that supposedly is possessed and sits in the counter or in the cabinet that no one is supposed to touch or open. I went and saw that. That was pretty fun. Man, she's way more creepier. All right, guys, that's it for me and Annabelle. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a great next week, and I will talk to you again next Friday or Saturday, guys. Happy knitting.